What if I told you guys that somebody had done something for the fourth time in college football history and didn't get recognized for it?
I'd probably rebuttal and say that I feel like that recognition that he was supposed to get was given to somebody who they were trying to set up for further recognition and give it a reason for them to give them further recognition after that recognition.
I'd almost say it's
Something.
this fake news media that we hear about, you know? This is one of those things they gaslight you to make you think this guy really didn't do that much. Gosh, he only played against Mountain West opponents. Like, he didn't do a whole lot. This guy played a really good Big 12 team that also got one bid into the college football playoff, just like the Mountain West, but that's neither here nor there. Um, it's a tough scene. They did it. They did our dog dirty. They did
Oh
him
no.
dirty.
This guy's Wi-Fi is horrendous.
Oh no!
This guy's Wi-Fi is
no.
as horrendous as what he's wearing right now.
Look at him. He's still frozen
Oh,
right
he's
there.
still frozen.
Oh yeah.
So you're talking about Ashton Jeanty? Is that what the whole?
No, we're talking about
no. We're talking
Nick
about
Nash.
Talk about Nick
baby.
Nash.
I was going to say, so for those of you wondering who we're talking about Nick Nash, who is a converted wide receiver, was a quarterback, started at San Jose State, finished his career at San Jose State, just recorded the fourth ever receiving Triple Crown in the history of college football. Led the country in receptions, led the country in receiving yards, led the country in receiving touchdowns.
I
All
just
right.
love when a guy is at the top of every single stat that matters, and they're like, "You're not the best at that. Let's simmer down here. You want the Blitnikoff? No, no.
You want
Buddy
the
in
Blitnikoff?
Colorado's getting that.
You want the Blitnikoff? You got to go play corner first.
Yeah.
Is
You got to
it
play
the-
more snaps.
And so going off of that, what if I also told you that there was a guy who had the best season that a tight end had ever had in college football and did not win the award for best tight end in college football this year?
I will say good on them for making him an All-American, though, at least. But
I guess.
what are we doing? Like
I guess.
Harold Fannon's a dog.
I don't think he's going to be great in the NFL. Maybe he will. But that guy was the best tight end in college football this year.
See, and I think that's an argument that you'll see a lot of guys go to town with, is the fact that, oh, well, this guy isn't going to translate into the NFL. He might not have a great NFL career. That's not what these awards are about.
He's
These
playing
awards,
in college right now, not the NFL.
These awards are supposed to recognize the most outstanding college football players this season, not who is going to translate the most into the NFL. Tyler Warren ended up winning, the Penn State tight end ended up winning the Mackey Award for best tight end in college football this year.
That's tough. I get you want the Bowling Green kid, but what Tyler Warren did for Penn State is pretty deservingly so of the award, though.
You think
I know
so?
you want the group of five. Yeah, I think
No,
so.
so no, it's like
I don't think it should be based just on stats. I think it should be based on stats and the impact that someone makes on their team.
this guy doesn't watch the MAC.
That just gave your argument just gave it to Harold Fannin. He's the best player on his football team. He has the best stats. He made them a bowl team at least. Like, it's just, don't get me wrong. Backup quarterback Tyler Warren's
Group
a
of
great
five.
dude.
Group of five is not going to win any type of award like that. I'm sorry.
No, so
It's not going to. That's just the reality of what today is.
Then we just split it all up. Get it over with. Let's split this. There needs to be a line. We're done.
Time out. Let's break this down now. So the reason I bring these up, we'll get to Heisman conversation in a second. The reason I bring this up is because I want to talk about the respect or the lack of respect that the Group of Five has been getting in college football this year, specifically this year. Now, we've been talking about Group of Five, FCS, getting kind of the raw end of the stick for a long time now. We have transitioned from a Power Five into a Power Four. The best schools are now consolidating into their own conferences. Before the season even started, we had a conversation about the Big Ten and the SEC splitting off into doing their own thing outside of the NCAA entirely. But what I want to know is, I don't understand why we are going to blatantly disrespect the players that are playing in these Group of Five conferences. We just had a guy, Ashton Jeanty, who is probably going to end up breaking Barry Sanders' all-time record, which is one of the records that people thought would never, ever be broken. He's probably going to end up breaking it in the quarterfinals of the CFP, and nobody cares. I mean, I want to know why you guys think, Jackson, I'm going to start with you because you sound pretty adamant about this. Why aren't these group of 5 players getting the recognition that they deserve?
I mean, I just think it's just the level of play. I mean, I don't think there's anything significant about it. I think in terms of Ashton Jeanty, what he did was great.
Yeah,
but I think you've got to give.
Let's pause on Ashton Jeanty for a second. Let's focus on guys like Nick Nash, the Harold Fannin, those guys that have put up all-time seasons and still aren't, and people don't know who they are.
Well, yeah, part of it too is most of these voters are guys that really don't watch all of college football, like us, all 4 of us. Like we watch the Mountain West, you watch the MAC, and you see the impact that Harold had on Bowling Green. You've seen the impact that Ashton Jeanty had on his team too, and I think part of that has to do with the popularity. I think part of that has to do with ESPN. I just think the reality of today's game, it's going to be based on the best player at that position. It's going to be based on power forward, whether you like it or not. That's what it's going to be. And I get what the guy at Bowling Green did was good, great. I get what Ashton Jeanty did, but I think the other 2 deserving awards with Travis Hunter and with Tyler Warren is deservingly so because of the impact. Tyler Warren basically carried Penn State to the playoff, and then Travis Hunter, we're never going to see someone play 2 sides of the ball ever again at that dominant elite level. So
let me
play in the Alamo Bowl or wherever they're destined for.
Let me rebuttal and say Ashton Jeanty single-handedly took Boise State to the playoff. If we're going to say that for Tyler Warren, why can't we say that for Ashton Jeanty, who is having an all-time season?
But he's playing Nevada, Utah State.
He went for 200.
I mean, I'm gonna say the same thing everyone else is saying, dude. When I watched that Oregon game, he's just dogging on him.
I mean, and like the thing with these awards, like you said, Jackson, and I think we all agree, a lot of these awards, like there's like 9, again, we'll get to the Heisman voting here in a second. There's like 900 something Heisman voters, right? Yeah. And 25 of them didn't even fill out a bracket.
I was like, can we give us votes? How do you not even fill out a ballot? And then on top of that, it was like 11 players got first place votes. Like if you're watching college football, it should have been between 2, maybe even Dylan Gabriel gets a first place vote. But how does Curtis Rourke, Cam Scouted, how does he get a first place vote? Like,
if I had a Heisman vote, I would watch 100% more college football. Like I've watched a lot this season. If I had a Heisman vote, I'd be watching everything.
Absolutely.
There's probably all these guys that have had Heisman votes since like 04 earlier still that just have mailed it in completely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they watch the big time games that are on CBS, ESPN, and ABC and NBC, and that's about it. Like they watch probably 5 games a day on Saturday, maybe, and that's about all they do. Like,
not enough of these guys watching Root Sports.
No,
not enough.
I would like to know the percentage of these voters that have ESPN Plus that can even watch that.
That's a good point.
How many of you guys have YouTube TV multi-view set up and ESPN Plus?
Not enough.
Because most of these guys too, like that's another thing about all these people that are voting are writers of certain schools or certain conferences. So they don't only have time to watch all of college football.
Whereas another thing.
I feel like for Heisman, the AP, and even the CFP committee, you could put them all in the same conversation because most of those people are like one of the head guys. I don't forget his name. I don't know his name that they brought on for the college football playoff show. He's literally the athletic director of Michigan. Like, how is he supposed to judge every team in college football when he's running a university?
Exactly.
Because supposedly they excuse themselves when those schools come up. So like when Ohio State comes up, he has to excuse himself from the conversation. But there's no way. like it's like it's however, is it 13 or 20? I think it's an odd number. Makes it an even number. Then you can it can split. I don't know. It's weird. It's a whole weird system.
And
I know they're still fine tuning things with as far as like the playoff goes. I get that. I'm not mad about the playoff. I'm excited. I'm pumped. The voting, though, there needs to be some. I guess I don't know how you change it because it's been the same way for however many years. It's tough. It's a tough situation for sure.
I absolutely agree. I think when it comes to all these awards, regardless, even you take it outside of sports, anytime something is being voted on, there will always be bias. But I'm not sure how this is supposed to happen, but there needs to be some kind of vetting process when it comes to these national awards because you could look back, you ask somebody who won the Blitnikoff Award 10 years ago, no, people probably aren't going to be able to tell you, but like it means something to these players, right?
Corey Coleman.
2014. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Who'd you say?
Bad
I said
example.
Corey Coleman.
Bad example. No, and so
Pretty good.
That's exactly my point, though, right? That's my point.
Amari
Is guys
Cooper.
guys who are invested in the sport and who are public with the information that they share. Like, guys, I'm not saying that we're the experts or anything, but we are passionate football fans that express our knowledge in a public forum like this, right? There needs to be some kind of vetting process when it comes to. I don't think 900 people need a Heisman ballot, and the 25 people that didn't turn in a Heisman ballot, those need to be. They should no longer be a Heisman voter, because that is an incredible honor.
Yeah,
I think
probably
that
some 80-year-old dude that doesn't know how to work a Google form and couldn't.
yeah, an
figure it out.
80-year-old dude that's never pulled out a TV from a bedroom and put it on his floor below the TV in the living room.
Straight up.
It should be
Straight
going
up.
off of how many screens you got going on every Saturday. Like work monitors how your mouse is moving. Heisman community needs to monitor how many games you got on.
They need a Teams chat just.
Yeah,
for
they need a
Heisman
Teams
voting.
chat. They're like, hey, this
Who's
guy's only got one multi-view. This guy's watching on his phone. Give me the guy that's got every screen in his house.
This guy went into a fall wedding, immediately gone.
Yeah,
He missed a Saturday of football.
Exactly.
this guy went to a fall wedding with no service. Out of here.
He went to a fall wedding outside of Augusta, Montana. It's over.
Yeah,
Done.
No,
God,
so,
it's just a frustrating deal, and I think it might be because I really have, as you probably could tell through all these podcasts, I have no allegiance to a college team whatsoever besides the Grizz. And so I think I just grew up looking at these smaller schools and being they felt more relatable to me than all these bigger schools.
Agreed.
And then so now I just feel like I have the soft spot for it. You're looking at a guy that watched probably 10 out of 12 Ball State games this year.
Chirp, chirp.
But and so it's just one of those things where I feel like you get even for me, it would be if I were a voter, it'd be biased towards a smaller school. There's no doubt about that. And it's just when you have people voting, it's impossible to take bias away. It is. I thought it was funny. I know we're not talking about. I know we're not. I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So getting ahead of myself.
No. So there's just closing thoughts for me again. I think I ask myself in these situations, why even have the group of five in the same division as the Power Four, right? Either we consolidate everybody into 4 conferences, which would never happen, right? Or we draw the line somewhere. The P4 gets their own playoff, the G5 makes their own playoff, because everything up until recently, everything has started to trickle up, right? All of the best players from the smallest schools are trickling up into the Power Four. Now with
poor Washington State. I mean, good Lord.
Right. And so exactly, Washington State and Oregon State got sent out into the middle of the ocean. They have no conference allegiance. They have no TV revenue. I mean, it's insane. But until recently with the roster limits that the NCAA has put on these schools now, everything has trickled up. Every even with Montana, I can speak for us because I'm involved in the NIL collective. Eli Gilman's staying at Montana is massive. Now I don't know all the details. I don't know. And for everyone who doesn't live and die Montana Grizz football, Eli Gilman is an All-American candidate running back. He rushed for damn near 1,000 yards as a redshirt freshman.
He definitely could have went Power 4.
Absolutely. And so that's what I'm saying. Guys like that usually don't, and he's an awesome dude. He's an upstanding human being. I could, blah, blah, blah. Guys like that usually don't stay at FCS. They try to make the jump. One, because
Giovanni McCoy.
Because everyone tries to shit on FCS and group of 5 play. They said, you rushed for 2,500 yards this year. Oh, try to do that in the ACC or just some shit like that. Right. And I'm getting fired up right now because I think this matters. And I think the normal the average fan doesn't recognize that there is good football being played at these quote unquote lower levels, and all they care about is, how does Oregon play? How does Ohio State play? How do all these big brands play football? And we're going to compare that to everybody else. And when you're looking at it from an individual perspective, it gets really hard to distinguish who is really good and who's really bad. But when you are voting for these awards, I think you need to be able to distinguish between those. That's my thought. I don't know why we have a group of 5 in the same conversation or in the same division as the P4, because everything that the NCAA has done and everything that these conferences have done have made it to where the G5 doesn't matter. And that kind of pisses me off.
It's so funny to me how we always root for the underdog. And then when it comes to awards and stuff like this, and you bring up group of 5 like I just did, it's like the argument when it's all like throughout March Madness and stuff, you always root for the underdog. And then you get to the Final Four, like a couple years ago, it was like San Diego State, Miami, UConn, and FAU. And everyone's like, oh, this sucks. Like there's no power blood. There's no blue blood. So it's a conflicting thing. I think there's great group of 5 players. There's great FCS players. I think the play as a whole is just forever going to be disrespected until we see something like Indiana happen to like a Boise State where they play a non-conference game and upset Oregon. Then it's like the whole nation's like, wait, what? Like the group of 5 play is amazing. So I don't know. I think it's always going to be separate, and I think it's only a matter of time until we go from 2 power conferences. And then you're right, the group of 5 is just going to get buried.
And I think it's interesting too, because you don't really, when a Power 4 conference team loses to that group of 5 team, it's almost like a write-off, right? It's like, oh, they were underestimating that team. It's whatever.
They were looking at next week. They couldn't beat Tulane.
It's just a continuous cycle of bias that people seem to struggle with, and I hate it.
NIU had a really good year. Yeah. NIU was really underrated in week 2 or whatever it was.
Great team. They're a good ball club. They were ranked.
Solid head coach.
To me, it's just like, I know it never probably won't happen. It's kind of happening with the good, not good FCS teams either. It's like decent FCS teams are getting into these group of 5 conferences or group of 4 or whatever. Yeah, group of 5 still Power 4. Yeah. Sorry, group of 5 conferences. And I know this is never going to happen, but it's almost like you need to lump the FCS and the group of 5 into one thing and just make that the competitive deal. I know it's not going to happen, but it's it's the best. It might be the best thing for both of those and just do their own thing.
Think about how much fun football we'd get from that.
I mean, people don't really understand that the margin between an average G5 school and the top 2 tiers of the FCS is that thin.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
the hard
the
hard part for
thing.
me with that is I'm gonna go. Sorry for this the hardest part for me with that thing is if you look over the history of the FCS going to this 2014 playoff, the teams that have had the bye are 50-1. Have that first round bye. Those first 8 seeds are 50-1. Yep. And then you end up this year is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is who's the final 4. And the hard part with the FCS is there's probably every year maybe 6 teams that can win it all, and by week, but by week 2 of conference play.
I'd say every year in the FCS when it comes to playoff time, there's usually only 3 in my mind that I think will actually win it all.
I agree. It's usually the Dakota.
It's a Dakota or a Montana. The school Dakotas always.
And the Dakotas have 3 schools now that are in that tier. You have the Dakotas, you have the Montanas, and you sometimes have Idaho that's competitive. Now that they're back, but it's a tough situation for everybody, and they're plucking these FCS schools. JMU is really the only one that's had decent success of I think they've been in a bowl game every year they've been up, that they've been eligible, which is the last 2 years I think. Mm-hmm. And these other schools that are not struggling, they're middle of the pack teams. Sam Houston State probably finished in the middle of their conference. You got those it's like you said, it is a very thin line between bottom tier of these bad programs in the group of 5, a New Mexico. Bozeman beat them this year. You're seeing a lot more consistently these good FCS teams beating bad group of 4 teams and or group of 5 teams, and it's just I don't know. It's an interesting Interesting thought. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you make it. The one thing that would really help is we need Boise State to go on a run. We need them to go on a run.
100%.
The problem is if they don't win at all, it's going to be forgotten. Even if they get to the championship and lose, it's all forgotten next year.
And
Unfortunately, that's kind of the reality of it.
And it's going to be a stain on the record of any other G5 team that's going to be in a playoff forever. Be like, oh, yeah, Boise State gets the 3 seed and they couldn't beat the winner of SMU Penn State if that happens.
If they get blown out in their first game, which they play Penn State, could happen.
Not good.
If they get blown out, they will automatically be the 12 seed every time. There'll be no conversation of giving them a bye, even if this chaos that happened this year happens. If let's say they get blown out by Penn State or SMU, next year it's going to be like, this Clemson team that snuck in with 3 losses, all of a sudden they're going to be the 4 seed because we're not putting a group of 5 with a bye again. Yep. And so Boise State needs to at least keep it competitive for that group of 4 bid to even have a chance that in my mind at least have a chance going forward to get a bye.
No, absolutely. Absolutely agree.
Is interesting.
Yeah.
But
all right. So we'll get to some more playoff talk here at the end of the pod. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna head into Heisman territory. So Travis Hunter, Colorado DB wide receiver, ended up winning the 90th Heisman Trophy last week.
Tell you. Didn't watch
last week. So I thought this Heisman Trophy ceremony was extremely cool for the one reason of it being the first time in a long time where it felt like you didn't really know who was going to win until the name was said at the podium, right? Most years, I mean, we pretty much knew it was going to be Ashton Jeanty or Travis Hunter. A lot of people thought it was going to be Jeanty. A lot of people thought it was going to be Hunter, but there was really no way of saying who was going to end up winning it until the name was right at the podium. Like I said, usually we pretty much know who's going to win, and for a large part of the last, I don't know, maybe decade, it's generally been the best quarterback on the best team, So I thought it was really cool. But Dalton, I want to hear your thoughts first. Travis Hunter winning the Heisman.
It's kind of conflicting in my brain. Obviously, I'm an Ashton Jeanty truther, but any other season, if there wasn't that menace standing in the backfield up in Boise State, I would be such a big Travis Hunter fan. Like, you guys remember Jabril Peppers? You know how much I love Jabril Peppers just because he was everywhere on the field? Like, last year, I would have absolutely loved, would have been all Travis Hunter. But man, it just gets me going seeing Ashton Jeanty run the football. Like, just a stat for the first 6 weeks of him being like, he had 120 yards the one low game where he played a quarter and a half. Besides that, just been 200 over and over again. I'm sad. I'm quite sad that Ashton Jeanty didn't win it, just because the numbers, man. It's absolutely been insane. He's got more what is it? He's got more rushes for over 20 yards than he does for a loss, and it's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, we can sit here all day and read the stats of the prominence that Ashton Jeanty has had, and I feel, Jax, we're not trying to pin you into a corner here because I'm pretty sure the other 3 of us here would have voted for Ashton Jeanty. But I just, like I said, historic season, probably going to break Barry Sanders' record in the quarterfinals of the CFP.
I don't think that he was the best wide receiver, the best corner in the country, but the fact that he's just as good as he is on both sides of the ball, it's why I accept the Heisman.
Yeah.
It just
he is
mad.
Overall, is there a better player than him? I don't know. I mean, better than Travis Hunter? I don't know. That guy did.
It's just tough to not have a season like that and give him the Heisman. It's an all-time season.
Yeah, the way I started looking at it, because Ashton Jeanty won the popular vote by the fans.
Yep.
But the Electoral College gave Travis Hunter. Going back to election
Ashton Jeanty got Hillary Clinton. Poor guy.
Yeah. He really did. He really did. That's basically what happened. Felt like America wanted to win it, but the people that have the say, felt that Travis Hunter did more. And I think Travis Hunter, for how much of an asshole that dude could be, seems like a really cool dude. When he gave the answers,
asshole.
How is he an asshole?
No, he
He's
said
got
he
a
could
Colorado
be.
jersey on. They just makes you think. Like I think Travis Hunter's a great guy,
He's one of the
but
nicest guys.
No,
Well,
I'm saying
he's-
he could be an asshole with how good he
Oh,
is.
Oh, you
Okay,
said
but-
you said for
allowed-
how
yeah,
you
like-
said for how big of an asshole he is.
No,
That's why I
sorry.
was
How
like,
big of an
how big of an asshole
he
he could be.
got it.
And
All
then
right.
he is just the coolest dude on earth, it feels like. Like
Yeah.
the answer he gave where he was like, literally like, what do you dream about at night? He's like, I dream about going fishing. I'm like, cool dude. Cool dude. And just
Yeah.
a terrible girlfriend. Terrible girlfriend.
Oh,
but cool
she's
dude.
We're not getting into that. We're not doing that whole thing, even though she does feel like she sucks. So, but no, I mean, like you look at the season that he had. Yes, you can make the argument. Yeah, he probably wasn't the best receiver in college football this year. Probably wasn't the best corner in college football this year. But the fact that he did both, and we've never seen that, and we will likely never see that again.
AJ,
And
how
the-
many running backs have won Heisman since Reggie Bush?
One.
Why are we throwing out some false info on the Word doc here? Which one
What'd
we
I say?
forget about? Who won it? Who won it?
Was there
was
two
Derrick
running
Henry.
backs?
Yeah, and Mark Ingram.
Mark Ingram.
Come on now.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. Forgot about that.
It's fine. I'm sorry. It's been irking me since I saw it.
I'll talk about Mark Ingram here in a second. But I don't know. Like everyone has said already, I don't really have a problem with him winning the Heisman Trophy. I was
don't
hoping
either.
I was
It's
hoping
just-
Ashton Jeanty was going to do it because of what he's done. But when you are a top 5 player at 2 different positions on either side of the ball, like that has to be the winner. I feel
Yeah,
like
we just got the bad luck as football fans of having 2 just absolutely historic seasons in one
I think
year.
I think it's beautiful. Like I said.
Oh
like
yeah,
I
no,
said,
it is.
I-
I was being a little
yeah, no,
sarcastic.
no, I get
Like
that.
we got too spoiled.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said at the beginning of the segment, it felt like this was the first time in a long time where we didn't really know who was going to end up winning. We could assume, but we really didn't know who was going to win it until the name was read off. But no,
I knew
just
once
wanna
he won
say-
the Blitnikoff, they were giving him the Heisman.
The sports book gave it away by making Travis Hunter minus 10,000 like 2 weeks ago.
Sports books are tough.
Vegas knows all. Vegas knows all.
It's not wrong very often when they do that.
I know. All right, so Dalton, thank you for correcting me on the
Yep.
on the Google Doc. But here's my question: What does it take for a running back to win the Heisman? Like obviously,
It takes what
obviously-
Ashton Jeanty did and hope that no one else did something crazy.
I think it takes what Ashton Jeanty did and throw a Power 5 logo on his chest. I think that's what gets you the Heisman. Because
Yeah, you got to think if he's in a Georgia uniform, what the voters would have done.
I think it's a landslide.
you
it's
throw
a-
him,
I still think it'd be
You-
close.
you throw him in a Colorado uniform, he's winning a Heisman.
Oh, if those two are on
Absolutely.
the same team, wow.
If those two are on the same team, they're probably going to the college football playoff. Oh wait, Boise
100%.
State's already in it. Oh wait, forgot about that. But like you guys said, 2 running backs have won the Heisman Trophy since Reggie Bush did in 2005. We had Christian McCaffrey who broke another Barry Sanders record of single season total yards.
He was
total
runner up
yards.
twice, wasn't he?
Christian McCaffrey, no, he was runner up once. He was runner up to Derrick Henry. I don't know if he was runner up twice. I don't think he was. But anyway, we had guys like Christian McCaffrey. We had let's see, Melvin Ingram is another one that I think
Melvin Ingram.
gets insanely slept on.
Melvin Gordon?
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin
No,
Gordon.
Melvin
Yeah.
Ingram.
Melvin Gordon.
I,
Sorry,
I was right there
yeah,
with
no,
you.
yeah, sorry.
I didn't know
Sorry,
Melvin
I had-
Ingram
I had-
won the Heisman.
I had Mark Ingram and Melvin Gordon in my head at the same time. That's on me.
LaMichael James.
LaMichael James. Yeah,
He
so
was
I'm just
tough.
saying, but I think that really is the thing. It's like if you're going to win a running back as a Heisman, because I think since I think every year in the 70s, I could be wrong on this, but like I think every year in the 70s, it was a running back that won the Heisman.
Well, yeah, it's
Uh,
because quarterbacks were throwing for 12 touchdowns back then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like obviously, we've moved into a day and age where the quarterback has now become the most important player on an offense, just like the running back was back in the day, right? I think it's just a little bit, I don't want to say disrespectful, but there's a lot of really good running backs that haven't gotten the recognition that they probably should have over the course of the last 25
Yeah, it
years.
just feels like you got to break a record or at least come close if you're gonna get it.
If you even to compete to get second, you got to break some kind of record.
Yeah,
I mean,
a record
there's
held
a couple-
by Barry Sanders.
Yeah, exactly. Who has some of the most unbreakable, quote unquote, unbreakable
Yeah, like the
records of all
best
time.
season of all time.
I was listening to ESPN for some reason about football, and they were talking about how Barry Sanders back in that time, they didn't count the bowl game to the stats. And I was like, then the brain starts going, right? Let's say Ashton Jeanty beats it by 1 yard. Does Barry say he's alive, right? He's alive.
Yeah,
He's
alive.
all
Dude,
by
Barry
one,
Sanders
you know?
is kicking.
Yeah, so he's
I mean,
alive.
that-
As
What
of
if he
this
petition-
moment in time right now, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming yes.
petitions Jeanty beats his record by 1 yard. Petitions the NCAA. I want my bowl game yards to keep my one record I still have.
I would do it. 100% I would do
I would
it.
do it. I would do it.
We got a bunch of Mark Gastineaus in here. Do you guys see that? Do you guys see that whole
Who?
You guys haven't watched the New York Sack Exchange 3 for 30 yet?
Can't.
Dude.
Oh,
dude,
that
dude,
guy that's off his
dude,
rocker with CTE that was
dude.
like gonna kill Brett Favre. That guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, I
it's-
saw that clip on Pat McAfee. Yeah, give me my
Dude,
sack back.
Dude, he is. I feel bad for him because he just seems like a very broken person. Even back in the day, it sounded like he was a very broken person, but now he's got the brain given out on him. I think that is a bitter human being, genuinely. Dude wanted to kick the shit out of Brett Favre in the middle of an autograph signing for falling down for Michael Strahan.
Never thought I'd see the day that the Pat McAfee show was backing Brett Favre. What
No.
a moment.
So
What a
facts.
moment.
So facts.
They had Brett Favre's back, and I was like, that's big of Pat to even be
That's
like,
big.
yeah.
That's big.
Brett Favre's a great guy. What has he ever done wrong?
Jesus.
Just stole a couple bucks.
All
Dick pic, I think, too.
right. All right. Now we're
Dick
gonna,
on the
we're gonna,
phone.
all right, we're gonna finish up Heisman talk with some fun stuff here. I want to hear some of your guys' picks for the biggest Heisman snubs of all time. I got three with an honorable mention that I wanna talk about. But whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I thought I had 3, but it looks like I have 4, maybe 5. One's an honorable mention.
Yeah, give me the name.
Ashton Jeanty's up there.
Okay.
I don't know. I just wrote it down instantly.
Okay.
Colt Brennan I threw on there just because he had 3,000 more
R.I.P.
passing yards and 28 more passing touchdowns than Troy Smith that year.
R.I.P.
RIP Colt Brennan. Monty Ball. I didn't even write down any stats. I just put Monty Ball. I will never forget that name. It's always been here.
So I'll plug in for this one real quick. Monty Ball was my honorable mention. Didn't have 2,000 yards seems to be the threshold for a running back that's in Heisman contentions, but he had 39 touchdowns in a year.
So many touchdowns.
He had 30
That's so many touchdowns.
He had 39 touchdowns.
Do you know how many quarterbacks have won Heisman with less touchdowns? Most of them.
Most of them. Yes. Here's my honorable mention.
My last one
Oh, Jesus.
is Vince Huntsberger. And Noah might be the only one who knows the name, but that's back in 2001. I'm a certified Eric Crouch hater. That guy, how did that guy get the Heisman? He had 3 more interceptions than he did touchdowns. When there's a guy playing safety in Montana who got a Heisman vote, give it to that guy. Shout out Vince.
It's a great poll.
And then my honorable mention was Derek Thomas in 1988, which is a tough one because that was when Barry Sanders was doing his thing. But allegedly, I'm not going to trust the 80s stats. Allegedly 27 sacks, and that's crazy.
All right. Who wants to go next? Jackson, you want to go next?
Yeah, I only got one
All right,
that
let's
just
hear it.
went to mind. I'm going to say McCaffrey.
It's a good
I
one.
agree.
McCaffrey should have won that year against Derrick Henry. I'm a West
I agree.
Coast guy. I think what he did to Stanford, you talk about Ashton Jeanty and him carrying Boise State. I mean, Stanford. And at that time, too, even when it was harder to find games, now it's so much easier with YouTube TV and the internet to find clips. I think that's the reason why he lost, just because they don't play until Pac-12 after dark when
Yeah,
half
but
the
he was
nation
doing something
is sleeping.
crazy every week, it felt like.
Yeah, that's another one when it was big brand, Derrick Henry going to the national championship, Alabama. So I'd say McCaffrey got snubbed.
I had that conversation because I was kind of kicking through my brain thinking about big Heisman subs. I had a conversation with my buddy the other day about Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. It was like, I think Christian McCaffrey had like 300 more rushing yards, but had like 11 less touchdowns, something like that. And he was just trying to just read stats off a page. But like if you watched a Stanford game when he was there, he single-handedly, it just felt like he was putting Stanford in position to win games.
Yeah, guys taking kickbacks. He takes a kickback, all of a sudden the offense trots out. There he is again, about to burn you for 60 yards.
Do you guys remember that little Texas route he had in the Rose Bowl against Iowa?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
I
also remember Kevin Hogan faking a fumble on the snap there and throwing a deep ball.
Yeah.
Gosh, I've brought up Kevin Hogan probably 3 times in the last week, and I just don't know how it keeps happening. I love that guy. Love that guy. Never forget. Never forget.
Great Browns quarterback.
He really was. Him and Cody Kessler. Great Brown quarterback.
What a duo, huh? What a duo.
Mm-hmm. I had 2. I had Vince Young in 04 with Reggie Bush. Just tough when it's Reggie Bush because and obviously they got their lick back in the national championship. But and then my other one was Melvin Gordon, for sure. Nice. Over 2,500 yards and 29 touchdowns. Just I think it's pretty sick.
Did he lose to?
That was 2015, right?
Yes. Cannot remember who he lost to. Did not look it up.
2014 was Mariota, right? So
the season says 2014, actually.
Let's see this. So 2015 Heisman, that went to
it was 2014. It was Mariota, Amari Cooper, and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah,
I stand by that Heisman.
It's a tough one.
It's just a tough year to be like Mariota was definitely the guy, no doubt.
Yeah,
but it's a great season.
I guess that kind of goes back to the point that I brought up of like, what the hell does running back need to do to win a Heisman Trophy? I mean, like, it feels like every time we have
I'll tell you what they need to do. They need to throw the damn football if they're going to want to win it.
I mean, it feels like if
Lamar won
it. You beat me to it.
What are the clips of you? What are the clips in college you see of Lamar won the Heisman? Him running. Sorry. I've never seen him throw the ball once on the Heisman montages I watched of all of the great Heisman plays like plays by a Heisman winner in college that year, like their Heisman moment or whatever. I don't see him throwing the football. I see him jumping over dudes and spinning around. So
it just always irks me that you didn't love Lamar in college. I loved Lamar Jackson in college.
Hated him.
I think you're one of the only people that I have ever met that hates Lamar Jackson as much as you do.
Also coming from an ACC guy, kind of.
I know.
Yeah, Clemson beat him, by the way, if you guys are wondering. They're 2 yards short on 4th down. Primetime TV, that was on ESPN. College boys should have won it at some point, too. Just going to throw that out there.
Oh, my God. All right. So
I haven't said Deshaun's.
You can't. I think you can't say that on this show. We'll get censored on it. We'll get bleeped out for saying that name.
He was at the same time the Michael Jordan and the Karl Malone of college football.
All right. So for the names that I had on there, one was Ndamukong Suh in 2009. I grew up in Nebraska. Nebraska was my first ever favorite college football team. All right. Ndamukong Suh was by far the best college football player in America in 2009. I don't really understand why Mark Ingram won it, to be honest. I mean, he had a good season. He had 1,600 yards, was on an undefeated Alabama team.
Yeah, but the Toadster had like 30 touchdowns, didn't he?
Yeah, it was the Toby Gerhart, Mark Ingram finished second and first, respectively. And I think that was the closest Heisman race in history. I think this last year was the second closest, I believe. compared to 2009, or it was the closest.
Yeah,
since
it was the second
2009.
one. Yeah.
Closest since 2009 at least. But you look at the Sue, you go watch the tape. I mean, as a three tech, as a defensive tackle, he was the best football player in America. The best. He had 12 sacks, 21 TFLs. Even those don't do it justice. He had an interception, three tech with an interception. How about that? And then he had 3 blocked kicks. There's a graphic out there that I think I'll put it in post. There's a graphic out there comparing his 2009 season, and it comes up every year during the Heisman race. It's comparing him to Texas's entire D line, Georgia's entire D line, and some other school's entire D line, and he is outplaying all of them by himself. You want to go see a dominant performance? Go look at the 2009 Big 12 championship game. The dude sacked Colt McCoy 4.5 times, I think. He was just a monster. Nobody
They still
can block
lost,
him.
right?
They still lost because that was the Mac Brown 1 second. That was the Mac Brown 1 second game.
He finished 4th that year too. McCoy got him in the voting.
4th.
I love Colt McCoy. Man, do I love Colt McCoy.
You know who doesn't love Colt McCoy is Ndamukong Suh. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
Like,
Maybe you should try to step on him.
I mean, I don't know how he did. He did 4 times in the
just stomp
biggest
on him
game
like he did Aaron Rodgers.
Biggest game of the season. I mean, I don't know. So that's my one. Like I said, honorable mention was Monty Ball, was the one that Dalton brought up, and then I'm gonna turn it all the way back to 1956. You guys know Paul Hornung? You guys remember him?
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like a 1956 name.
So I'm gonna educate you guys here. He's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. All right, got drafted by the Green Bay Packers. Was a do it all everything for Vince Lombardi and the Packers. He was running back primarily. He was a quarterback at Notre Dame, which is where he won it. Jackson, I'm surprised you don't know who Paul Hornung is. Notre Dame. What the hell is a Fighting Irish?
Yeah, my brain after like Montana and Theismann, I don't remember much of the Notre Dame people.
Before
I
Montana,
appreciate you bringing
it's a surprise you even remember their last natty.
So,
I know. How about that, dude? How about Notre Dame? They got this new gear from Under Armour, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's sweet. We got all our national championship years on the back, and like the last year you see is like 1988." Just a tough look. Tough luck for the program.
But going back to it, Paul Hornung, before he was a Hall of Fame football player, where he was running back, fullback, receiver, quarterback, kicker for Vince Lombardi and the Packers, he played quarterback at Notre Dame, won the Heisman Trophy. He is the only Heisman Trophy winner to ever have a losing season. He was 2-8. He was 2-8 at Notre Dame and ended up winning the Heisman. He had an abysmal season. He had like 1,300 yards total, passing and rushing. He had 9 total touchdowns and 13 interceptions.
So what you're saying is this guy was DJU just way before.
You see, he declared for the draft.
DJU would have been the perfect 50s quarterback of all time.
DJU would have been a great 50s quarterback.
He's been here. Hand the ball off.
When do you guys think was DJU's best year?
It had to be
his
Oregon
State. Oregon State.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oregon State, he was phenomenal.
You know what? Props to DJU for like making a graphic and making an announcement that he was going out for the draft.
I wanted Alan Bowman to stay too.
I just can't wait until DJU gets drafted in like the 3rd round.
That was a tough one. Anyone besides Paul Hornung? I didn't write down the names. I think Johnny Majors was a guy, the quarterback for Tennessee back then, something like that.
Sounds right.
Thanks. But yeah, Paul Hornung winning it in 1956. Bad Heisman year. Bad.
How did Rex Grossman not beat Eric Crouch for Heisman? God. Sorry, I'm going through close races now.
I'm surprised no one said Peyton Manning.
I almost said Randy Moss over that.
Randy Moss, that would have been a good one. Did he have 20 touchdowns his senior year?
He probably had 20 against Montana.
If Chad Pennington and Randy Moss had the year they had that year, they both would have showed up in New York just like Travis and I guess Shador wasn't invited, or was he invited?
He wasn't invited, but he was
just there. Yeah.
So let's listen to Randy Moss here. Senior year, or his last season at Marshall, 90 catches, almost 1,700 yards, 25 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That just sounds like
God.
That just sounds like a 99 speed deep threat receiver in
That's
college
what
football 25.
he
That's basically what that sounds like.
he was that in real life in the NFL.
Yeah, that's just
Jackson, while you were gone, I was saying I was surprised no one brought up Peyton Manning.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised.
I
I'm
forgot.
surprised about
Sorry,
that.
I had to grab more wine. Second
No,
glass here.
You're
We're having a great time.
Late night. All
And then
right,
Dalton
so
brought up Randy Moss, and I brought up Brian Leaf because we both picked those two over Peyton Manning.
yeah. I think that we shouldn't even. Hey, Ryan Leaf, if you're watching this, quit being an asshole, bub.
Easy.
no, he's being a
Easy.
You're gonna
dickhead.
defend that guy, Noah? He's done nothing but shit on Montana for the last 3 weeks on Twitter, and I'm
That's
damn
facts.
tired of it.
That's
That's
facts.
facts.
I'm
That's
damn
facts.
tired of it.
I'm not doing it. Can't stand for it.
I've met the guy. I gotta
Oh,
have
you
his back on
guys, you guys
something.
live in
Oh,
the same
shit.
houses. Role model that Ryan Leaf. Oh, fuck, hillhead.
Jesus
I love
Christ.
Evan Dalton on the pod.
See, oh,
It's a loose
jeez.
cannon over there.
Yeah,
That Dalton.
yeah, really, yeah. See, he makes the editing process fun. There was
Hey,
one. So there was.
you have cussed the most today. You.
See,
Well, yeah, you ate
the F word is the one where I don't really have an issue with. Throw it a couple shits every once in a while. Don't really care. F word, yeah, that's when I'm gonna. That's when.
So
I'm
is
gonna
this
throw
when we
a
can
little horn
cuss
on.
and you just bleep out everything?
All right. Last thing that we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we have the first round of the CFP. The first year of the 12 teams college football playoff is on Friday. We are recording December 18th. It's a Wednesday. It is currently 9:14 p.m. in Nebraska right now. But so we have our first round games coming up on Friday. How are we feeling about the new format right
I
now?
feel
What
like this.
what do we like about it? What do we not like about it? How do we feel about the new format right
I
now?
like it all. I don't care. This season of college football has been so awesome. I've loved every minute of it. I love the 12 team. I love that we have it. I'm rather it be like some scandalous SEC bullshit when it comes to a 12 team than us having to do a 4 team. 4 team sucks.
4 teams suck.
12 team, awesome.
Mm-hmm. Jackson, what you got, buddy?
No, I love it. I think nowadays people complain, and it's so funny. I even brought this up, whether it was on another podcast or whatever, but it was like heading into the season, we had a feeling, hey, Utah is probably going to win the Big 12. The ACC is probably going to be Clemson, Florida State, Miami, like a lot of big blood names at the top. We were fine with it. We said, I think, before the season that 2 losses was going to be the deciding factor of who makes the playoff and who doesn't. It ended up being the opposite. 3 losses. It ended up being Boise State having the run they had, the ACC having a bad year with the 3 loss, Clemson, Big 12 only 2. So I think we expected one thing, and because Boise State and Arizona State are the top 2, people are going to get mad. And I think the other thing people are pissed about is that Oregon beat Penn State, and Oregon's path is a lot harder than Penn State. But it's like, even if we do reseed, most likely it probably won't happen the first weekend of college football for the playoff. It's probably going to go chalk. But if it doesn't, then you think, okay, well, let's say Oregon plays in Indiana, if you reseed it, or Oregon plays SMU, Oregon plays Clemson, so on and so forth. So I like the format. I think after this weekend, we're going to be wanting more home field playoff games. I think it's going to be absolutely sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 16 is going to be a factor, but I think I think the Bulls are going to be upset if they don't have their 6 bowl games, either being a quarterfinal or semifinal, just because it's a business and they basically run the playoff too. They're part of like the CFP. So I love it. I hate how much hate the playoff format's getting when it's like, dude, we've known this format for like years. And then the first time we have Boise State, Arizona State, Cinderellas that we root for at getting first round buys, we're all upset about it. So
yeah,
I don't know. And I think for Oregon's sake, having the hardest path, it's like, well, if Ohio State doesn't lose to Michigan, then they're what, the 5 seed, 6 seed? So it's like a bunch of stuff happened to where we are, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it's just where I'm happy to have it. Remember when a computer was choosing who was going to play in the national championship?
Yeah, the BCS, jeez.
See, I want to take a look at what the BCS computer. I'm gonna do some research after the pod here. I want to see what the BCS program would have done with this year. I'd be interested.
Well, it would have been Oregon, obviously.
Would have been Oregon.
Would have been Oregon, and
it would have been really tough to take out Georgia because they won the SEC, but there are also 2 losses.
There's a lot of, I think, like Jackson, like you were saying, there's been a ton of parity this season. And I think that's part of the reason that made this 12-team playoff so fun, is because obviously when we had the 14 playoff, everything was very limited. We kind of knew, like, it's kind of like what the FCS playoff, what you were talking about, Noah and Dalton earlier. You kind of know who's going to be in it, right? By the end of the year. With the 12-team playoff, there's especially this year, there was so much parity that got
Oh,
so
and with
many
the
different.
conference realignment too. Oh,
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
it. It's
It's
great.
like I missed the Pac-12, but what
Yeah.
happened need to be happened, and the timing of it too. I went back and I actually looked through the upsets throughout the year. How many upsets do you guys think there were? What, a lower AP ranked team beating an upper ranked team, or a AP ranked team losing to an unranked? How many upsets do you think there were this season?
20.
27.
I'm going to guess 25.
52.
I love that. I love it.
52.
I'm all for that.
That's insane.
52, including Notre Dame losing to NIU all the way to Oregon, or Ohio State losing to Oregon, which Ohio State I think was ranked higher at the time. I don't know. But anyways, my point is the chaos is epic, and it's so cool every week to see. Like, I think the last 3 weeks, there was like average of like 6 or 7 upsets per week. So it's
And
awesome.
that's what I love. That's what I'm here for. I don't care if Bama doesn't get in, dude. I care. Give me Boise State. Give me them every single year. If any team goes 12-1, give me them.
Mhm.
And then the whole problem is going to be moving forward about scheduling. Like that's going to be the biggest thing, because now Greg Byrne in Alabama is like, well, we're not going to schedule, Ole Miss. We're not going to schedule Georgia on our schedule because we want to make the playoff. So that issue is going to be something moving forward. But like for Indiana, you can't knock Indiana because everyone on their schedule sucks. Like they won and they dominated everybody. They deserve to get in. Like SMU,
Yeah, you win the games you play.
Too. Exactly.
And I think that brings us to my main point when it comes to how everyone was being all pissed off about the CFP this year. What happens during the regular season has to matter. Otherwise, there's no reason in playing. Just like Jackson brought up, there was 52 upsets this year. There is a reason you play the games in the regular season, and that's to really find out who the best teams are in the country. And I think going forward, if they ever do modify how they structure the seeds within the playoff itself, not necessarily a 12-team playoff, but how they structure the seeds within the 12-team playoff, I think the best way to do it is to do what they did this year. Go throughout the entire season to identify who the most deserving teams are to go into the playoff, and then, like what Jackson said earlier, reseed within those 12 teams. Not necessarily put, don't make it based off of AP rank or college football committee rank. Reseed it within the 12 team, right?
Because we all agree the 12 teams that are in deserve to be in. It's just
100%
that people are pissed about.
Yeah, Oregon should not. Oregon was the best team in the country the entire year. They didn't lose a game. They play the quarterfinal against either Ohio State or Tennessee. Now, you can make the argument Ohio State and Tennessee, they are extremely explosive football teams. They're very good, but they have been disappointing this year. Ohio State obviously lost to Michigan at the end of the year. Ohio State ended up losing to Oregon. That was just a great game. I wouldn't say that was a disappointment at all, but like the first seed should not have to go up against a team like Ohio State or Tennessee in the quarterfinal, right? And then you have a team like Penn State, who Oregon beat in the Big Ten championship game, having a quote unquote easier path. Right, they have to play the winner of SMU and Penn State. I would like to believe that we would all agree that SMU and Penn State is a weaker combination than Ohio State and Tennessee. Right?
Don't get me wrong, I'm an Oregon fan. Go Ducks. But you get what you get. You get how it shakes out. There's going to be at least 8 teams that are going to always look good every year in this. You play your games. If you're that good, you're going to win.
Yeah.
Now, if Oregon makes it through this and wins the national championship, I think we got to talk about them as one of the best teams
all time.
16, 17-0, the path that they
16.
have.
Yeah.
16.
I'm not saying they're better than 2019 LSU, but like that's pretty damn impressive if you can get through this gauntlet.
Oh yeah, you get through either Ohio State, Tennessee, then probably Texas after
Probably
that, and then all of a
Texas.
sudden you're staring down the barrel of Georgia, maybe
Notre Dame, Penn
Notre
State.
Dame.
The hard part
Signetti.
about it is like it like Ohio's like it's the parody. It's like I don't know how you avoid Ohio State going to 9 with everything that or 8 whatever it was, and Tennessee being at 9 with everything that happened. Like you
No,
Yeah.
I
lose to
agree.
like you
And
lose to
that's
Michigan.
why
And like then you had Texas lose to Georgia, which like no like I shouldn't say nobody thought, but it was an upset. Like and they get bumped all like then you have to put them at 5. Then Penn State looked like that was the best
Yeah.
Drew Aller we've ever seen. Like they looked so good. Like how do you not put them at 6? Like it's just like so much happened.
Yeah. Regardless of who they had to face, they're gonna have to face some tough team in that first
Exactly.
game.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
of how diverse and how spread out college
Yeah.
football is. If
And
it wasn't
we
Ohio
should
State,
all
if it wasn't Tennessee, it was going to be Texas, it was going to be Notre Dame, it was going to be Penn State. Like
Yep.
it's going to be tough regardless. It's a good
we
point,
should all just
Noah.
be happy we have it.
I agree.
absolutely, I agree.
And I think this Oregon team, like looking forward with like everybody's the whole like thing being they have the hardest path. I don't think Dan Lanning would have won it any other way. That guy's
That's
a
how he
sick
wants it.
bastard, and this is exact like you think I don't like I think that Oregon team is somebody like just throw the ball out there, we'll kick it off, we're gonna play. We don't care. Like it just feels like they're that kind of team where I think like some other teams might be intimidated by the path. I just feel like they're like we think we're the best team in the country, and now we're gonna get the hardest path to go show it. Great. Like
Yeah.
Dan Lanning's a psycho, and I love him so much. Would love to play for that guy. We got 2 psychotic young coaches in this playoff. With Kenny Dillingham will go ape shit on anything and any little thing. Then you got Dan Lanning who will give the best pregame speech you ever seen. Then he'll throw a Zen in and go play some football. And like he wishes he could throw on the pads. Like it's awesome. I think it's a really cool. I think that's for the first one especially. It's a really cool group we got in this playoff.
Oh yeah, it's great. It looks exactly like I want it to. I mean, we got Ohio State, Tennessee first round. That's perfect.
That is probably going to be the game that I am most excited to watch this weekend. Ohio State,
Mine's
Tennessee.
Texas, Clemson. I had that written down before Noah came in.
That game there's just something.
I just feel like it's going to be good.
I do too, and I know Texas' defense is probably the best defense in the country, but there's just something about this Clemson team sneaking in that makes me believe that they're going to do something. And with how good Cade Klubnik's been all year, is like not many people want to deal with Cade Klubnik. I don't think. It's just it's always one of those things you have, and especially even in March Madness, you have one of these teams that sneaks in from one of these like when was it UNC that was like an 8 seed a couple years ago that like won the whole thing or whatever. Like they just snuck in as a bid, and like that's what happens. Like it's just it feels like one of those like they got in by somehow their true freshman kicker makes a 56-yard field goal, and like now is that like what's going to happen from here? Like who knows? I think it's crazy.
I mean, Dabo Swinney is a changed man. We all saw it. I mean, he signed a guy out from the portal.
I think Dabo from now on will be a guy that will get 1 to 5 guys from the portal every year. Like I don't think he'll
Dabo's guys.
I think like it's gonna be. I think that's what's gonna start happening. I don't think he's gonna ever be like I'm gonna get 20 guys out of the portal. I think he's gonna be like he's like these are guys I tried to recruit in high school that are now looking for another. Like it's gonna be something like that where he like already has ties to these guys, and it's gonna be like a couple here and there every year. Which like he'll still be like the least active in the portal probably, but I think he obviously knows he has to use it a little bit. But it's gonna be interesting how that progresses in the offseason too.
Again, speaking of the portal, I mean, we could probably make a whole hour pod about the portal. Did you guys see Army's 1,000-yard rushing fullback went into the portal?
Good for him. Good for him. It feels like that's treason, but good for him.
Is he still
like that's a dishonorable discharge?
No. So the way it works is because like I was getting out of high school, I was getting recruited by Air Force because they're just.
Does he have to finish his service or
no? So I think it's either you have either 2 or 3 years. I don't know if he went to the prep school or not, but you either do 2 or 3 years. After that, second or third year, that's when you have to serve. So I think he was a sophomore. So I think he wanted to transfer out before he had to commit to commit to his service. But a lot of people were freaking out that a guy was transferring out of a military academy. They didn't
Do you
know
know
that
how
was
hard
they
of a
didn't know that was a thing.
conversation that's got to be from a military school guy?
Yep, that's Jeff
I
Monkey
bet he
probably wouldn't
stays if
have.
they beat
I mean,
Navy.
this is like you guys have figured out over the course of the season. I'm a closeted Army fan, right? Because like similar to Noah, I don't have a ton of like allegiances to an FBS program, right?
I feel like closeted might be a stretch.
Closeted might be a stretch. I've been pretty outspoken about Army.
Let's go do a quick search of how many Army tweets Barnburner has put out
you're
this
right.
year.
You're right. You're totally right. Well, like I don't have any like Army gear or like Army football shirts or hats.
Yeah, but you're a red-blooded American, ain't you? We're all
Damn
Army
straight.
fans.
Damn straight. But yeah, that was interesting to see that because you go to West Point or you go to any of these military academies, like you go there expecting to serve, right? And then you have the season that Kanye Udo had. He had over 1,000 yards rushing, conference champion, double digit touchdowns. Like, I mean, I want to know what went into that. What went into that conversation? Kanye Udo, if you're a Barmer sports fan, I want to talk to you. I want to know what that was like. But
also, since we're really off topic already, Bill Belichick signing a Holy Cross guy as his first transfer portal guy just made so much sense. Just made so much sense.
A Holy Cross center.
Yep. It just checks the box.
You could, and then did you guys see that? I tweeted out a picture on it on Barber. I did a close up of Bill Belichick when he was standing in the background of the guy signing. He was just sitting there with his arms crossed and his blue jeans. And he was just you could just hear him. You could just hear him and just be like, "Would you just sign the for already? We got practice here in like 30 minutes.
This guy's taking forever to sign the paper. Just get it signed. We got football to play."
I just can't wait to see who the first D3 lacrosse player he gets is. I just can't wait for that conversation.
I just can't wait to see what that team's going to be. I'm so excited.
I can't wait to see what Kent State wide receiver transfers in or Kent State quarterback transfers in and becomes the leading receiver of the North Carolina football team. Shout out
Ulatowski.
Tommy Ulatowski. Congratulations.
Tommy
Get ready to play slot, buddy.
Get ready to play slot, buddy.
That was I know Jackson saw it. That was when Kent State was on bad beats against Ball State, was the best. Besides the Grizz being on it this year, was the best because Stanford Steve just kept yelling. Like they're like, "Who's throwing the ball? Ulatowski."
That's one of the best segments on TV, bro. I love that.
Absolutely.
Segment. So good.
So underrated.
All right, boys.
Back to the playoff here.
Yeah, well, we haven't talked one game yet.
All right, let's go down the line here. Let's look at the bracket. Let's make our picks, our 4 picks across all 4 games this weekend. Let's talk about who we want to win. Starting off with Ohio State, Tennessee. I think Ohio State is going to win. My heart, I want to see Tennessee win, but if I had to put money on a game, I would put it on Ohio State to win.
Yeah, I just don't think Nico's got it like that going into the horseshoe, honestly. Like, he hasn't been playing his best ball lately. I really want to believe in this Tennessee team. It's a fun team to watch. Sampson, the running back's very good. I don't even think the spread 7.5. I don't think they cover. I think Ohio State wins by 10.
Wow.
I think that, some of these Ohio State players, I feel like are all on their phones too much. I feel like they're listening to what the media says. Michigan's in their head. You want to know who's not on their phones too much? Because for one reason only, ain't no smoggy smoke up on Rocky Top. Ain't no telephone bills. Give me the Volunteers.
Ooh, the Vols. I'm back and forth on this because I think for Ohio State, after facing Michigan, if you looked at all the teams that they could potentially play as the lower seeds, Tennessee would be the least they would want to play because they play similar to Michigan. Like Dylan Sampson is their lead running back. Their defensive line's the best on their defense. But to Noah's credit, though, when it's all said and done, I just don't think Nico is capable of being able to throw and execute on those third and longs against this Ohio State defense. And I don't know if they have the wide receivers and talent that they've had in the past to be able to combat that against a really good D core of Ohio State. And I'm just going to bank on the fact that Chip Kelly will adjust. Now, if Chip Kelly gives in to Tennessee, like he gave in to Michigan and just keeps with the interior run, it's not there with the injuries they have offensively on the offensive line. But I think Ohio State wins. I think it's going to be close. Though. I got 24-20, but I got Ohio State in a bounce back game at night. So I think weather, too. All four of these games, besides actually Texas, weather's going to be a factor. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah,
I just want to see how Nico's going to play, honestly, because what is it, like 9 or half of his touchdowns that come from like 2 games?
Vanderbilt, he played well. So that was like the last game where he played really well, but also it's Vanderbilt, which at the back end of the season, they didn't really play that well. But I'm really interested to see how Nico plays too.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with this Tennessee team, I'm a big fan of Nico. I think he's going to end up being a really good player. Well, he's only is he a
true freshman, isn't he?
He's a redshirt freshman. He reminds me of like Drew Aller last year, or like Ewers year one. That's like what he reminds me of. Like he'll be next year. We'll talk about him. He'll take a big leap, but I think this year it's just a big stage for him.
I think if he had, like you brought up, Jackson, or I can't remember who brought it up, but the receiving core has been the bane of this team, especially in the Brile system that this volunteer offense runs, where it's extreme wide receiver splits, it's a lot of downfield throws, it's a lot of deep choice. I don't think they have the guys this year to go win on those goal balls, win on those vertical deep shots downfield. I think that's where Nico thrives, and I think that's the offense is set up in a way to try to hit those throws first, and then try to take advantage of space after that, whether that be RPO or whether that be interior run game, which obviously Dylan Sampson has been awesome this year. If Tennessee wants to win, they're going to have to ride Dylan Sampson into this game. And I think he got hurt the last time Tennessee played. I think he got hurt. It's been 2 weeks or so, 2 weeks, whatever it's been. So I think he'll be all right. But I think if Tennessee wants to win, their defense is going to be great. James Pierce is awesome. That defense is great. If they're going to win, I think Dylan Sampson needs to be the reason why. So
the only thing I think if this is a close game in the fourth quarter, I think Tennessee has a shot. If it gets to like 10 points or so, my biggest thing with Ohio State, it's like, can we give Jeremiah Smith the damn ball? Like these last 3 games, I think he's only had like 68 yards, 8 catches. So that's something I'm going to look for in this game too. And if Will Howard, the last couple of games, he's prone to have some turnovers. If he does get some turnovers, favorable position for Tennessee, look out. But if Ohio State were to lose this game, though, I ask you guys, what happens to Ryan Day?
He's back. He's not going anywhere.
I agree.
He's back.
I think he's probably back. I think that if I was an Ohio State fan, I would want him so far gone.
That's true. And I think it's one of those things too where I was talking about, I think Jackson and I were watching football one week and we were talking about this, about how people wanted James Franklin out of Penn State if he like lost these big games he had this year and whatnot. Yeah. And like, to be fair, he didn't win any of them so far. And people are like, oh, he'd be gone. And I'm like, if you're Michigan with Sharon Moore, who's struggling, I'd fire him the next day and get James Franklin on campus and be my next head coach. And I think there's a lot of good teams that are like on the cusp of being a playoff, like being in the playoff this year. Like I wouldn't say DeBoer at Alabama. I think that's a different situation, but like you have to have the conversation. Like, would you rather have Ryan Day or DeBoer? Like, I don't know.
Arkansas would go for James Franklin. Like schools like that, where it's like if you have a head coach that's like 50-50 whether you want to keep him or leave him, and James Franklin's on the market, I bet you they would go after James Franklin in a heartbeat.
Oklahoma State would be another one that would drop.
Oklahoma State's a good one. Yep.
I mean, that's the conversation that seems to be ignored when people talk about, oh, we want to fire this coach. You got to figure out who you want to hire after him. I
call it the Kyle Shanahan question.
It's not wrong. And it's just like, if you think Brian Hartline's the guy to lead Ohio State to the next championship or try to bring in Vrabel, like I don't see it. Like, at least with like Ryan Day's lost like 5 games, I think, or maybe 10, I don't know. Somewhere in, like, it's not many games he's lost in his career. It's like, I just don't get it. Unless you like know for sure like Urban Meyer's coming back, or like Two Fingy's guy, obviously, but Urban Meyer's coming back. And it's just like one of those things, like you'd have to like be pretty certain to make that move.
Like that Michigan loss was the worst loss I think Ohio State's had in the last 15, 25 years. Like,
Yeah.
that's just you cannot lose to that team.
Yeah, the thing with Ryan Day is, like you said, Noah, he has not lost a lot of games, but the games that he
56
has
and 8.
lost, so he's lost 8 games. Those 8 games, if you go look back, they have, what is it, 4 now? 4 in a row to Michigan.
Yeah, 4 to
in a row-
Michigan.
So 4 in a row to Michigan. All of them
Oregon.
are big games. All of them are big game. Oregon,
Georgia
Two in
and
the
then
call-
Clemson.
2 in the
Yeah.
playoff.
Yes. Yep. All of the games that he's lost are in big games. So I mean that might amp
3
up
in the playoff.
That
It's-
might
it's
amp
the
up the deal.
It's
a
the
little
James
bit.
Franklin narrative there. So it's the same narrative. Like,
Yep, same deal.
like
Same
except
thing.
he's lost those games and still gotten into the playoff. Like, or like he lost it in the it's the James Franklin narrative, but James Franklin drops 2 games a year instead of 1.
Yep.
It's pretty
So-
similar conversation there.
So we brought up James Franklin. Let's jump over to SMU and Penn State. Who we got there?
To me,
I got Penn State.
it should be Penn State. I love Kevin Jennings. He is fun
Right.
to watch. And I haven't really watched as much SMU this season. I know the first game when it was week 0, when they barely beat Nevada, to now with Kevin Jennings and their ability
Yes.
to come back and get that game against Clemson. I could see them maybe, at the end, maybe doing something. But if they do something against Penn State, it's going to be Penn State's backups that are in. I came away with that Big Ten championship way more impressed with Drew Aller and that Penn State offense than I did before that game. I've been screaming from the rooftop, like, can we get Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton involved in the offense? And they were able to do that. So I think Penn State wins this game pretty easily. And I think that's all going to be with Tyler Warren, who they have on offense. Their defense has got to get better, though, because 45, 48 points they had against Oregon was tough. But this should be an easy win for Penn State. I think they win by like 10 plus, I would say.
I'm in the same boat. I think that's out of all the games, that's the one I'm most confident in.
Yeah, I think this might be the biggest weather advantage for a team. Like, I know SMU and Lashley are trying to say like they practiced in the snow this week, and they, like, to be fair, it did snow in Texas or whatever. They had pictures of it, proof.
Different.
But it's not 20 degrees and freezing cold, and like they rely on Jennings a lot to go throw the football. And I don't know. Like, he runs it too, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think the run game's good enough to compete with this Penn State team. I think Penn State wins by at least 2 scores, if not 3. I think this is the snoozer of the weekend.
It's a fun story though with SMU. I mean,
Yes.
think about SMU just 2 years ago, bottom of the barrel, the AAC, and then they've got a lot of expensive donors that came in and say, "Hey, we want to move to the ACC," and then they're in the ACC championship now in the playoffs. So it's a fun story with Brett Lashley. He's turning his career around, but yeah, no, it should be Penn State. What do you think, AJ?
No, I agree. I think the biggest thing for Penn State is the fact that, or the biggest thing for SMU is the fact that it's not a night game in Happy Valley. I think that's the biggest thing for them. I think that's the one thing that they can lean on. But no, Penn State by, like you guys said, probably a couple scores.
The fact that spread is only 8.5 is crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a playoff game. You can't make it insatiable, right? But I think it's going to be 2 scores.
But Texas is favored by 12.
Bingo.
Well, I think that's a different conversation. So let's jump over to Texas and Clemson. Clemson barely got in. Let's not forget that they had the longest kickoff return that they had all year by a guy who hadn't returned a kick all season, and then a freshman kicker who made a 56-yard field goal.
I think it's 56.
After Cade Klubnik hit like a 17-yard dig across the middle to barely get him into field goal range. That's why they're in the playoff.
After watching a
Syracuse
lead
too.
just slip away.
Syracuse. Shout out Cal
Syracuse.
McCord.
I know they had also received Heisman votes. Shout out Cal McCord. But they were a Syracuse loss and a lot of things going their way, not going their way from not being in the playoff at all. So let's not think that a 12.5 point spread is insane right now, because you look at SMU, who, yes, lost the game, but they've been awesome all year. I think those are 2 different conversations. With that being said, I still think Texas wins. I don't think Clemson comes out on top of this one, but I think Texas wins this one.
Yeah, my biggest thing is look, Clemson, great story. Cade Klubnik's playing phenomenal. My biggest worry with Clemson is they've not been able to get Phil Maffa going all season. And I think their wide receivers are too young. And you
Mhm,
saw week one against Georgia. This
mhm,
is defense, of Texas. Anthony Hill Jr. and Colin Simmons, freshman, sophomore, can rush the passer. They can stop the
mhm.
run. They can defend the pass. And with Barron against Wesco, who's a true freshman, I just don't know. I think Klubnik will be able to make plays with his legs. And I love, like, Kate Klubnik's having a phenomenal season. And my respect for him is way more than what I thought at the beginning of the season. I just don't know if their team can score the amount of points that I think Texas will against Clemson's defense. And I know Quinn Ewers has been struggling. He's had a bad season. His ankle injury is a concern. We'll see what happens with Arch Manning. But I'm going to bank on the fact of the weapons of Texas kind of carry Quinn Ewers, whether that's a bunch of quick passes or they get DeAndre Moore out in space, Wendell Moore, Noah. You were talking about that the other day. But I think Texas actually covers. I think they win by 14.
Mm. Now, does Arch Manning score a touchdown in this game?
I bet you they implement him more. I mean, why would you not? I mean, he's
No,
so mobile.
absolutely. I
My
think that's
yeah.
been I think that's been the probably the best thing for Arch Manning this last half of the season is how Texas has been using him in certain packages. He's obviously which is super odd seeing a Manning being the athlete that he being an athlete that Arch Manning is.
Facts.
But no, I think it's been super cool that they've been able to implement him into the offense the way that they have after he had those two starts, played well against subpar competition, whatever you want to say. I think it was UL Monroe and somebody else, not the cream of the crop in the group of five. But anyway, I love the way that they've been using Arch Manning, and I think I said it a couple weeks ago when we were breaking down conference championship games. I was on the fence about Texas or Georgia winning the SEC, and I said, well, I think if Arch Manning was starting the game, I might feel a little bit differently. I don't know. And like Jackson, you were talking about when Arch Manning went in the game at the game that you were at Texas. The
Yeah.
crowd went insane. Yeah,
My
so I
only my only knock on Arch is he hasn't had big time moments to make big time throws. And when he did it
yes,
against Georgia, he folded. And
yes.
Georgia's defense was dominant against Texas. I think if you are Clemson, though, if you think you can win this football game, the D line of Clemson, and then on top of that, they stop Texas's run game and force Quinn Ewers in third and long. Like Texas is 93rd in the country in third down rate.
Mhm.
So I think that's one thing too. We talk about Texas, but yeah, I don't know. I want to see Arch, but I just don't know with the experience he doesn't have if he's the best option. But
Yeah.
Ewers has
No,
been,
make it clear. I'm not saying Arch Manning should start the game. I think it's been super cool that what they've done with him. I think Quinn Ewers is obviously the guy that they need to start, but Quinn Ewers has been obviously he's been dealing with the ankle injury and everything like that. But I don't think he'd probably be the first one to tell you that this is not the season that he thought that he was going to have this year. Is he coming back next year? Is that the rumor?
he's debating.
I feel like I saw somewhere he was, but I really hope he isn't.
If he comes
Yeah,
back, he's hit like I think if he comes back, he is immediately in the portal because I think Texas is content to go with Arch next year,
I think so
and I
too.
You would
think
have to think so.
I think
there's
so.
unfortunately a school with powder blue that I think he'd probably go and have good.
Oh, a school with maybe the best jerseys in all of sports.
No,
Come on, those things are
that's probably
beautiful.
Duke, but I mean it's all right.
Oh my God.
So Noah, who are you favoring in this game?
Here's I've been on this
Noah
Clemson
loves both
team
these
since
teams.
literally day one, but also I'm a horns up guy. Like I always hook the horns. I
And
never
you
I
wear the
never
Clemson shirt.
I
You
never
never
turn
take
it.
them,
I
and you
never take
never.
them and never put them down, and I never would. I never would. I'd put them down like that. I would never flip that over. I would be here. We're just going down. But man, if Quentin Ewers loses this game, oh my gosh, if he loses this game, he has to come back almost because he's like not going to get any more film to look better. This Clemson team, you keep hearing about this sophomore freshman class that are going to progress here in the next 2-3 years, and they're probably going to be really good down the road. Maybe now's not their time. maybe it is Texas. Texas could be back. I am very conflicted on this game, but my heart trusts Cade Klubnik more than Quinn Ewers right now, the way he's been playing. I know that Texas defense is really good against the interior run. Cade Klubnik runs outside, not inside, and I think his legs are the difference, and their receivers make enough plays. Clemson kicks another field goal for the win here at the end of the game.
I think Texas wins, but Clemson covers.
Agreed.
That's what I think.
This is you let Dabo sneak in this game, and I can't pick against that guy. I trust weirdly trust Dabo more than Sark. Weirdly. I don't know why. Maybe it's the experience and like the championships I've seen him win. Weirdly trust him more because I've seen Sark. He's kind of a guy that also crumbles in these big games as well. So I think I trust the coach and the quarterback more, and I think they can make enough plays to make it interesting. And I think I think it's going to be close at the end, and Clemson wins it at the end.
So talking about trusting coaches, last game that we're going to talk about here, the last first round game, we have Indiana at
Dalton. Did you pick?
Dalton? Oh yeah, the Dalton pick. Texas.
There you go.
Horns up. All right, that was easy. Anyway, last game we're going to talk about, we got Indiana at Notre Dame for an in-state game. Can't really call it a rivalry game, I guess, but in-state game. Super cool that we're getting an in-state game in the first 12-team playoff. Indiana, obviously a great story this year. Had a Cinderella run with Kurt Signetti. Notre Dame, as I'll let Jackson give his little spiel on Notre Dame since we have you on here and you're a special guest and Bryce isn't on here to back you up. So I'll give you your time here in a second. But Indiana has along with Arizona State, they've been the Cinderellas of the college football season. I don't think anyone expected them to be 10-1 on the year.
Nobody expected. If you would have asked me last year if Indiana was going to be in the playoff, no.
Bowl eligible.
Bowl eligible even. That's the first time this program I don't think's ever won a bowl game.
This is the first time ever that they've had double-digit wins in a season.
Yeah.
Good for the basketball program.
No, I think I love Kurt Signetti. He's one of the old school coaches that seem to be a dying breed in college football now, and I think that's part of the reason why they're winning. While he's an old school guy, I think Signetti is more of the CEO type that has become really the prototype of college football coaches in the modern day. You're not seeing a whole lot of play callers like you saw in the past be those prominent head coaches anymore. The way that college football works now with NIL and the transfer portal, you have to be more of a manager. You have to be a CEO, and I think that's what Kurt Signetti is, and he's done a fantastic job with it. That being said, I mean, Notre Dame has looked incredible this last part of the season. The last time we saw Indiana play against a top 5 team this year, they got smoked by Ohio State. I think they're going to come ready to play. I'm not sure exactly what the spread is on this.
I think 7.5.
I think if you told me that Notre Dame won and Indiana covered, I'd believe you. At the same time, I'd also believe you if you told me that Indiana got absolutely smoked. So I think Notre Dame ends up winning. Jackson, I'm going to give you a couple minutes talking about this game real quick, but I think Notre Dame ends up winning this game.
Yeah, I obviously think Notre Dame's going to win. I think it's so cool that the first playoff game we're ever going to have at a home field is in South Bend. Hopefully it snows. I'm glad Notre Dame is rolling out their traditional unis. I know there was rumors that they were going to come out with black ones, and I was just like, hey, guys, like, let's just win the fuck. Cussing. Let's just win the damn game. We haven't won a BCS game, haven't won a New Year's Six game, haven't won a CFP game. Let's win the game. Now, I think on top of that, them extending Marcus Freeman's huge. I think that's big morale for the team. And I know people are going to say, no, Notre Dame always screws up. Notre Dame always loses the big one. And I get it. And I can't respond to that. You can mention Northern Illinois all you want. But to AJ's point, Notre Dame's looked like one of the more important or one of the more impressive teams the past month or two. I think there's 2 things I'm going to look for in this game. I think it's going to be one is Curtis Rourke versus Notre Dame's pass defense because Ben Morrison, the talented corner, He's been injured for a while, and the two corners they've had are true freshmen and a redshirt freshman. They've had some more experience, but they've also let up 300-plus yards against USC. Now, part of that, too, was USC's wide receiver core is nuts. They were down a lot of points, so they had to throw the ball. I get that, but they also had 2 pick sixes on top of that. But that's one thing. 2 is going to be Notre Dame's rushing offense versus Indiana's rushing defense. Indiana's number 1 in the country rushing defense, 70 yards per game. But when they played Ohio State, they could not stop the run. Ohio State had 120 plus. I think Notre Dame's got a better running attack, just scheme-wise, in that offensive line that was the most inexperienced offensive line in the country. Now they've played through 12 games. They've got a lot of experience under their belt. So I think those 2 are going to be the deciding factors in this one. I'm really excited for the nation to find out who Jeremiah Love is. He's coming off
Jeremiah
a
Love
injury,
is a dog.
but he is special. So I think Notre Dame wins. I got him 28-17. I hope it snows. I am a little afraid of this game because Indiana, you don't know what to expect. But I just don't know if Indiana's got the star talent outside, those weapons at wide receiver to combat against Notre Dame. So I'm going Notre Dame. But I do think people always say, Ryman Leonard can't throw the football. The last couple of weeks, he's starting to get better. They've implemented the tight ends. They've got depth at wide receivers. So I think Notre Dame wins by 11. I'm hoping, at least.
Yeah, I think what when you talk about Indiana's offense, it's a lot of it is RPO centric, right? So they're trying to find numbers, they're trying to find open grass, they're trying to get athletes in space, right? I haven't watched enough specifically of Indiana's offensive line to see how they hold up against really premier defensive fronts like Notre Dame is going to show here pretty soon.
Not well.
No, so
you go look at the Ohio State film. Not well.
Yeah, and really that's the only game that we have to base this off of, right? Like they played against Nebraska. I would say Nebraska's defensive front was one of the best in the Big Ten at least. Not saying that the defense as a whole was great, but that front is really good. Different schematically, obviously, but with their RPO centric offense, they're going to try to find numbers in grass in space, right? It's stereotypical spread offense, 101 numbers, angles, grass, right? If Indiana's offensive line can't hold up against Notre Dame, I don't think that's going to work. And if the RPOs are getting shut down, you're going to start getting into second and long, and then you're going to get into third and long, and then I think the Irish are going to start feasting. So I hope it doesn't get ugly, but I think Notre Dame, again, is still going to win. Dalton, what you got, buddy?
I've been drinking the Indiana Kool-Aid all year. I don't know if they're going to win. I've been rooting for them pretty much the whole year. I don't know. I think that I'm with Groff on this one. I think that Jeremiah Love is so good at football. Every time I don't watch Notre Dame every week, but every time I watch him, he is doing something. He's just so much fun. I think that he is going to have a big game. I think that if Notre Dame makes a big run, it's going to be on his back. I think Notre Dame's going to win. I hope Indiana does. I don't know. I don't got a lot of analytics here. I got heart. What's the brain thinking?
I love it.
I will
say, give me Notre Dame. That's it.
I will say I do love how Notre Dame puts the players' names on the back of the jersey during bowl season. Big fan of that. Big fan of that.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that it's a historic program and they have tradition and everything like that, but I mean, when you're playing major Division I college football, just put the guy's name on the back of the jersey.
And I think they're doing gold lettering too, which is pretty sweet.
They are. Yeah.
That'll look good.
It is crazy to do gold lettering when you haven't won a championship since 1988.
Obviously, won national championships. Unlike
Noah has none to claim. Don't take that, Groff. Don't take that.
I have two. I have two.
Don't take that from him.
The Grizz won two. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, boys. Oh no!
Wait, do I get to pick this game? I'd like to pick this game.
Oh yeah.
No, you don't get to pick this game.
All right. So
I was trying to get us back on track.
Admitted Notre Dame hater my whole life. Admitted. Gonna get out in front of that one. I don't like Notre Dame, don't like North Carolina, and I don't like Ohio State. Those are 3 teams don't like. So I've been looking into a lot of stuff, trying to find a way to pick Indiana in this game. I was like, okay, these quarterbacks could turn the ball over. Who's going to turn over worse? Probably Rourke. It went there. Then I was like, this is Notre Dame's first home game not on NBC since like 1980 or something like that. And I was like, maybe the being off the biased Notre Dame network might affect them. Then I went back to the origin story of Indiana. Kurt Cincinnati said, Google me. So I did to hopefully get some reassurance. Do you guys know that guy's like 6-5? If you combine his two, like the D2 and D1 playoffs that he's been in, he's 10-8 in the playoff. Not what I wanted to see. Never, no championships to this guy's name. No, nothing. I Googled you, Kurt, and you got nothing to help me out here. Nothing. So that being said, I guess I got to go with Notre Dame here, and then Georgia's going to wallop them next week. But
I think that could be a fun game.
That'll be a fun game.
I don't know.
I trust Gunnar Stockton more than any player not named Kate Klubnik, Camp Scatterby, Dylan Gabriel, and Ashton Jeanty. But yeah, I think you have to go Notre Dame. It feels like free money. Like I think the Notre Dame and the spread and Penn State and the spread parlay has to hit. There, like I see no way Indiana stays competitive this game. Rourke's gonna turn the ball like it's gonna be like Ohio State. He's gonna turn the ball over twice. Our offensive line's gonna struggle. Notre Dame wins. Turn it off at halftime. Go on with your day.
I don't know if you guys can see this. My contact just flipped over in my eye. We're fighting a battle over here. I don't know if you can see how red this eye is.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it hurts. When you've had glass in your eye, though, you power through it.
You do.
You learn
to battle adversity.
When you're on the pod, you got to battle through some tough times.
Yeah, I had to take a dump for about 20 minutes. Just so tired.
At least we didn't have the I just sharded whiteboard pop up for you down there.
Yeah, no, you can say a lot of things about Dalton Lee. He doesn't poop his pants. Okay, you can call him short, call him ugly, say he's kind of a bitch. Guy doesn't poop his pants. Okay,
it would be great for content though.
Guy can't see.
Would be excellent for content.
You just can't say that guy's not a good bartender either.
You can't say that. You can say that maybe his sweatshirt and his skin have the same complexion. You can say that it's been pretty obvious he hasn't ran in a while. Can't say he poops his pants.
All right, fellas. We got anything?
You can say maybe that his facial hair kind of looks like a lawn with all the sprinklers not working.
Still going.
Guy doesn't poop his pants.
I think this guy might have pooped his pants once or twice.
Dude, I ain't been shitting my pants in a while.
just Jacob Perius.
Guys, I've come pretty close a couple times.
Jacob,
everyone's been
stays on this. Jesus. All right, fellas. Anything else we want to add before we get off here?
Who's y'all's Final Four? Who's your Final Four national championship and champion? That's all I got.
Oregon.
You can only say it now.
Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Penn State.
Who's your Oregon's your champ? I assume.
Yeah, of course. It's gonna be a cool. Actually, I don't know.
I think I'm gonna go Oregon. I'm gonna go Oregon. I'm gonna go Notre Dame. I'm gonna say F it and throw Boise in there. And then I'm gonna say
Arizona State in there too.
And then I'm gonna say Texas. That's my four.
Who's your champ? Who's your champ?
Yeah.
Oregon.
All right. I think my four is going to be Oregon, Arizona State, Penn State, and Georgia. And I got Penn State and Oregon in a rematch in the Natty.
I wanted to say that, but I kind of felt dumb having the thought for some reason.
I do too. Yeah, I do too, because I know full well James Franklin could go full James Franklin, and you never go full James Franklin, and he might lose on Saturday. But that being said, Penn State, Oregon for the Natty. Oregon wins. I think they're the most complete team in football. I just have a hard time not picking them. Groff.
Luckily, I said Oregon before the season, so I just want to note that real quick.
I knew you were going to throw that in there.
Oh,
I
you
knew
have
were gonna
to.
throw that
I mean, I
in
picked
there.
Michigan last year before the season they won. I feel like if
All
you pick-
right, get on with it. Get on
All
with
right,
it.
We're
so
following
I-
No, we gotta take notes. If he goes 2 years in a row, we
That's
gotta
pretty
follow him next
remarkable.
year.
That's pretty remarkable.
Whoever you pick next year, I'll put a future on. You know,
Put
$100
$1,000
future,
on.
$100. I'll put a
Yeah.
future on whoever you pick. If you go 2 for 2 the last 2 years, next year I'm tailing you.
I'm going Texas, Oregon. I'm going Penn State, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has a real shot against Georgia. Give me Notre Dame, Oregon in the final. Give me Oregon winning it all.
That'd be fun. I was going to say, are we not going to mention how Carson Beck is dealing with a pretty gnarly UCL injury right now?
Well, no,
How-
because he kind of sucked before. So
Dude,
But, like-
that guy's getting so much dome right now that he doesn't have to go to practice.
he's for sure
Having their
asking.
twins,
He's for
man.
sure asking for a lot of dome as well.
He's like,
He's
thank
just
God.
Are they at? Where are they playing basketball at now? Where are they playing?
Miami.
They're back in Miami.
Yeah, he's probably just chilling down in Florida, just waiting for his team to get to the Peach Bowl, the Orange Bowl. I mean, to go watch him that week. He's not showing up next week. That guy's just getting dome all weekend.
Bro, I knew
Guys
who they
knocking
were.
boats.
They're from Arizona. I knew who they were when they were at Gilbert High School, and they went to
Dude,
Fresno State.
I've
got a
seen
couple
them
lip
play in
injections,
person
and-
before.
Yeah, they're all right. I think one of them's better than the other, but yeah, they're
Looks-wise, or
definitely talented
Are you
dancers though. For
objectifying
sure.
them, or are you talking about their basketball skills?
They're decent at basketball. I think they're more better dancers though.
Fair. God, I wish Arizona State was in the Fiesta Bowl too. I really do.
I know, dude.
Just
I
the
know, Boise-
environment.
We got Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, though.
I know, and their history. You can't go wrong because their history's been great in the Fiesta Bowl too. But the environment at the Fiesta Bowl, like as just a spectator that's going to the game, the value that Arizona State in Arizona being in that game would have been electric.
I do think
But-
Boise will travel though. I
They'll
think
travel
Boise's
really
going to
well.
travel really well. I mean, the last
think it's-
time the playoff was here for the Fiesta Bowl was TCU Michigan, and it was like dead center Michigan fans versus TCU fans. I think the same thing will happen. I'm really interested to see how many Penn State fans, because obviously that's a bigger travel. But I agree, Noah. I mean, ASU would have been a movie.
And it's two programs that are in cold weather at the moment right now that I think are looking for an excuse to go somewhere south to not be in bad weather. So I think they'll like Phoenix is easy to get to. They'll travel well. It'll be fun. Watching Ashton Jeanty will be cool. But man, what a movie it would have been.
Facts.
All right, boys.
So we got
Yeah,
any
yeah.
more hot blondes we want to talk about before we wrap this thing up?
Ooh, Sydney Sweeney. What
I'll
was that?
go.
Yeah, she
Sydney
just posted
Thomas,
a new
Sydney
photo.
Sweeney,
Gosh,
Hannah
Sydney's-
Montoya.
Hannah Montoya, Megan making money. Who knew she had 2 kids? Not me. I couldn't tell. Look at her.
32 years old. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Holy shit.
AJ, any input?
I got a pretty hot wife. It's pretty good.
Right answer.
That was
Great answer.
That was the
They
right
PR
answer.
trained him.
All right, ladies and gents, that was another week of Boys Talking Ball. Jackson, thanks again, my guy, for jumping on, talking some ball with us.
Anytime.
This is AJ Forbes, Noah Ambiel, Dalton Lee, and Jackson Groff. We will see you next week. We got an exciting weekend of college football. Can't wait to talk about it next week. Love you guys.